Hello, hello, and welcome back once again. Thank you for welcoming me back. Hassan Matthew here, Welfare to Well Off, and this is our YouTube content. We're about a week in now, and I think it's a good time for us to talk about jealousy and envy. This is something that can stop us in our tracks on our path of personal development, self-actualization, from every aspect to emotionally, mentally, socially, and even economically. And I guess this is another really good one to start with the dictionary definition, which I have written down right here. Jealousy is a feeling of discontented or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. So what this does is, number one, it takes the focus off of our gratitude. The things we are grateful for. What we do is we start losing sight of the things we already have. And when we lose gratitude, we tend to lose ourselves. We lose sight of our own values. And jealousy and envy can shoot off into such a toxic mode where you'll be so discontented, so longing for something that you think you deserve, that you might compromise your values and stop at nothing to get it, and do so in a very wrong way. So, that being said, deserve, what we think we deserve. When we get jealous and we start coveting other people's things, often we start to get a feeling of entitlement. And as I'll discuss later, one of the only things we're truly entitled to is hard work, because quite often in order to deserve anything good in life, we have to work hard. So we're entitled to work hard in order to get those things. We feel we deserve it more than the other person. Why do they have it? Why don't I have it? But we don't really ask that question. We just, in a positive way, we might ask the question rhetorically, well, why don't they have it? Why do they have it? Why don't I? What have they done to deserve it? You know, in a kind of rhetorical and snide sort of way. But we should really start with, why do I deserve it? Okay, John has, let's get out of materialism here for a little bit. John has a beautiful, loving wife and a happy family. I have a discontented, angry wife, and my kid's pretty miserable. So, why do I deserve it? What am I doing to deserve it? Now, I'm not saying every relationship is spot on perfect. Some relationships are very, very toxic. So what it might be is, in that relationship, is you don't deserve it because you're holding on to a toxic relationship, especially if it's something you're starting to get disillusioned because you've already gone to therapy, you've already gone to couples counseling, you've done everything under the sun. Sometimes, yes, there is a time to cut that relationship off, and that might be why you don't deserve the happy relationship, because you're holding on to one. However, more often than not, I feel, through my personal experience and some things I have kicked myself in the butt for in the past, is so many of the relationships we think are not salvageable are salvageable. So much of it comes to our reactions to their negative actions and our negative actions towards them, our perspective on things, the way we define and conclude what the meaning of things is, the meaning we give sorts of things. So start to ask yourself, why do I deserve that? And in doing that, start to maybe see why you don't deserve it. And when we start seeing that, why, okay, here's some things I do deserve it for, but maybe where I'm falling short in this, then start to ask ourselves, well, what can I do to deserve it? How do I attain this? What steps do I need to take? So getting over our personal selfishnesses is a huge part of this. Getting over our ego, thinking we're doing all the right things when quite often we're not. There's always more steps we can take to attain fulfillment, not just in relationships, but economically, with our emotional health, with our health and fitness. You know, that guy has, six-packs, abs, and so on and so forth. Well, do you deserve it when you're sitting there on the couch every night watching football, basketball, movies, and eating potato chips, and in the morning you wake up and have a Pop-Tart and a cup of coffee and then go out and get 5 donuts? Do you really deserve that physique? So what can I do to deserve it? And how do I attain it? Well, what you can do to deserve it is to start to reframe and start to change your character traits. And how do you attain it is taking those necessary steps to the character traits, and then writing down maybe the things, going and seeking counsel for the things you can do to attain it, and putting them in a written plan and one by one checking them off. So the exact how you attain it as far as step by step, it differs depending on the goal. But one thing you can't do is attain something without action towards it. And then you start to look at why they deserve what they've attained. And yes, there is quite often people have a good wife to them and they are not treating them right and they don't really deserve it. And it will eventually fall apart. Or they have, money that was given to them that they're ungrateful for, they don't really deserve. There's so many people who, absolutely don't deserve what they have, but that judgment is between themselves and a higher power. But those who do deserve, when you really rack your brain, you start asking them even the questions, like, what have you done? How have you gotten to this level? So on and so forth. And start seeing, that they've put in the footwork. They've gone and mined the resources. They've been appreciative for what they've had, held on to it, protected it, and then fortified it. When you start seeing that, you can start changing jealousy. Start changing your jealousy. Well, instead of being jealous about the person, there's another, maybe even an antonym you could say to jealousy, or antithesis maybe is the right word, and that's admiration. You begin to admire them. You're not being jealous and coveting what they have. You're admiring them for the qualities they have exhibited, the work ethic, the planning, the good attitude they've fostered and developed over time, which has led them to deserve and attain these things. And when we start admiring people, then naturally we're going to want to emulate them. We're not saying be a copycat. We're not saying, be something you're not. You start to emulate those positive character traits and you take them as a model. And there's few faster ways to break out of negative character traits, habits, and things that are holding you back from deserving those finer things in life than models and mentors. They're an amazing shortcut, learning from not only somebody else's mistakes, but also learning from the good things they've done, because they can give you the tools and steps you need in order to attain them. So, jealousy and envy, I want everybody to think of something they may be jealous of or have been jealous of in the past. We've all suffered from it. And think of those things. Well, why do I deserve it? First off, what can I do to deserve it? Meaning, what shortcomings do I have to overcome? What character traits, what bad habits do I have to break? And then, how do I attain it? The step-by-steps, the how. And that might take doing the next step, which is finding a person who has what you want to attain and figuring out why they deserve it, what they've done, and then changing that jealousy into admiration and start modeling and working the same steps they have. So think about that. Why do I deserve it? What can I do to deserve it? How do I attain it? And where can I find the proper guidance in order to get there? So tonight, that's what we got to say, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful, beautiful, excellent evening and has a wonderful, beautiful, successful day. Thank you so much for having me, whatever time it may be, wherever you may be, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.